Welcome back to our 6th episode of the African Mega Projects. The opening ceremony for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games was a resounding success, captivating the audience with its outstanding and entertaining performance from famous artists such as Lady Gaga, Aya Nakamura, and Celine Dion. The Olympic Games were attended by 10,500 athletes. There were 329 events for the spectators. A total of 15 million tourists from across the globe visited Paris during these games. According to the Olympic Organizing Committee, the cost of Paris 2024 Olympic Games was $8.7 billion. With these numbers in mind, this video will address this question. Can an African country host the modern Olympic Games? To answer this question, we broke our video into 3 main parts. The first part of this video will examine the financial implication of hosting the Olympic Games. The second part will focus on the infrastructure that will be needed to stage the Games. Finally, we'll look at which African countries have the potential to host the Olympic Games in the near future. We would be grateful if you could subscribe to our channel so that you can get notification when we upload our next episode. Let us look at our first part of this video, which answers the question, how does it cost to host the Olympic Games? Organizing and staging the Olympic Games come with a huge cost for the hosting country. To understand this, let us look at a detailed article entitled "The Economics of Hosting the Olympic Games," published by the American think tank Council on Foreign Relations. From 2008, the cost of hosting the Summer Games ranges from $8 billion to $24 billion. This cost is higher than or equal to the national budget of many African countries. Looking at the annual budget of East African countries, for example, only Kenya's annual budget is higher than the cost of hosting the Olympic Games. The annual budget of countries such as Rwanda and Burundi is lower than the average cost of hosting the Olympic Games. Host countries spend money in 3 main areas. For example, Toronto could not afford to spend $60 million on its 2024 bid, while Tokyo spent around $150 million on its failed 2016 bid. Second, the host country has to invest a lot of money in building infrastructure to accommodate the huge influx of athletes and tourists. The cost of this infrastructure can range from $5 billion to $50 billion. As an example, China spent more than $22 billion on railways, roads, and airports, while nearly $10 billion was spent on environmental cleanup for the Beijing 2008 Games. Finally, the country has to invest heavily in creating and upgrading highly specialized sports facilities and venue large enough to host the opening and closing ceremonies. The general infrastructure such as roads, hotels, airport, railways are useful after the Olympic Games. However, some major sporting facilities may be a burden for the countries after the Games. As an example, the Beijing Stadium, also known as Bandnets, cost $40 and $60 million to construct. This substantial investment requires a significant annual maintenance budget of 10 million US dollars. Furthermore, the stadium was largely unused following the 2008 games until the city decided to use it once again for the 2022 Winter Games. So can a developing nation in Africa take such a huge risk and invest in such facilities to host the Olympic Games? This brings us to our second part. Do some African countries have necessary infrastructure to host the Olympic Games? As we know, we would not build a new city to host the Olympic Games. I would also guess that you would not pass the voting during the bidding for the games. Therefore, the host country have to have pre-existing infrastructure such as roads, security, airport, railways, and hotels to accommodate these games. It should also have pre-existing sporting facilities to be able to host all the games that are played during the Olympics. Many African countries fall short on investment in infrastructure. It is even lower for sporting infrastructures. This is reflected by the number of medals won by the African continent in Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Africa won only 39 medals. This is far lower for a continent if you compare with a country such as France with 64 medals. Relying on pre-existing infrastructures and sporting facilities, it is clear that few countries in Africa can be able to host the games. This brings us to our last part of this video. Which are the few African countries that can host the Olympic Games? There are 3 African countries that may have the capacity and potential to host the Olympic Games. The first country in Africa that have the potential to host the Olympic Games is Egypt. Egypt has submitted its bid for Summer Games for 2036. It has highlighted 3 many points in support of their bids. The country has invested heavily in infrastructure. As an example, it has constructed a 90,000-seater stadium and Olympic City complex. Additionally, it has also upgraded its road network, security measures, airports, and hotel facilities. The country has also experience in hosting major sporting events, including the African Cup of Nations and many World Championships. The country will also host the 2027 African Games. However, Egypt needs to show that it can handle a big financial investment of more than 10 billion US dollars to host the game for 2036. It's not the first time that this northern African country has tried to host the games. Alexandria rose to Berlin in 1916 and 1936. While Cairo failed to be chosen in 2008. The second country is South Africa. Cape Town was unsuccessful in its bid to host the 2004 Games. Even if the country has not made its bid for any upcoming games, South Africa has previously demonstrated its ability to host major sporting events when she hosted 2010 FIFA World Cup. The third country is Morocco. Morocco city of Casablanca expressed interest in hosting the 2024 Olympics, but was unable to proceed with its bid. Morocco has previously hosted several high-profile sporting events, including the 2015 African Cup of Nations, 2014 FIFA Club World Cup, and 2013 International Youth Games. Morocco will also have the opportunity to demonstrate its capability in hosting more major sporting events when it co-hosts the 2030 FIFA World Cup with Spain and Portugal. Since the inception of the modern Olympic Games in Athens in 1896, Africa remained the only continent which has not hosted these games. After a century and 4 decades, Egypt could become the first country on the African continent to host the games if its bid succeeds for 2036. We wish Egypt every success in its bid. Please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Thank you for staying with us. See you next time. Cheers.